Summer sewing is here, and I have quite a few things on my list that I want to make that I'm really excited to get started on. So the first are wrap tops, specifically wrap tops that have that band at the bottom or like a super thick band like this. I think that's so chic. Next are gathered halter tops that are very inspired by the Susmi's collection top. You may have already seen these going around. I want a bunch of them. And then multiple fold over skirts in a bunch of different colors because they're just very early 2000s, super summery, and I just need them. Okay, so here are my fabrics. They are so pretty. So I'm gonna make something with this teal, this silver knit, and then this blue. First thing is this beautiful teal fabric. And we've been seeing this color a lot for spring and summer, and I just think it's so beautiful. And do I need anything in teal? No, but I want it. So the outfit that I'm gonna make with this is a gathered halter top and then a matching fold over skirt to go with it. Then this beautiful silver knit. I just have to show you up close because the camera doesn't do it justice. It's a lot more beautiful in person, but you see how sparkly and beautiful this is, and it's very light. So I love silver. Silver is actually one of my favorite colors. So I will of course be making a fold over skirt and then the wrap top with the band. I don't know yet if I just want to do like a normal size band or a thicker band, but I am hyping that outfit up so much in my head, like you have no idea, and I really hope that it works out because it will literally be my favorite outfit ever. The blue fabric is another stretchy fabric that I've had for a while. I think I bought this last fall and I've kind of just been holding on to it. But with this, I'm going to use this as my mock-up fabric for the fold over skirts because I want to make sure I get it perfect before I cut into my silver and teal fabric. I do not want to mess anything up when I'm working with those fabrics. So I'm hoping that I have enough fabric left over to make a wrap top because I think a wrap top in this color would make a really cute summer basic, very like everyday top. So that's what I'm going to be making. I first wanted to start with that gathered halter top, and to make the main pieces like you see on the left, I used this top that you see on the right to cut out the pattern pieces. I just laid the top on top of the fabric and cut around it, and I wanted my top to be double lined instead of single lined, so I cut out 4 pieces total, 2 pieces for the front and then 2 pieces for the back. And I also wanted to make my bust pieces double lined, so I cut out 4 pieces total. And in tutorials that I've seen, the bust pieces are usually really long rectangles, but I wanted to try and round out the bottom like you see here. So I used this pattern piece I already had on hand to trace the pieces, and I just made them a lot longer. So for the wrap top that I wanted to make, I couldn't find any patterns for the particular wrap top that I wanted to make or sewing tutorials, so I used this top from Zara that I had, and my plan was just to trace the pattern pieces onto the fabric and hope that it would work itself out. But spoiler, it doesn't, and you will see why later on in the video. But I just wanted to share my thought process in trying to make the top. So I also wanted to make this double lined because this fabric was a little sheer, and I just like how clothes fit when they are double lined. I think they fit better. And these are the pattern pieces that I cut out, and you can see that it looks like it's going to come together really nicely. Like it looks like it makes sense. It looks like I'm going to get the result that I want. And for a little bit I thought so too. I actually ran out of this white fabric and I didn't have enough for the back piece. I just had this little strip of fabric right here, so I was going to try and wing it to see what I could come up with, but I knew that I wanted a very low back. The Zara top, you can see it's like a fuller back piece, and I didn't want that, so I was just trying to see what I could do with this back piece. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I can twist the back piece like this and it would be like a really fun detail. But I realized that I had to also make it double lined because it would look kind of inconsistent if the back piece is a lot sheerer than the main front pieces. So I had this other scrap fabric that I thought I could use as the lining. So yeah, I was like really winging this. So I sewed the main pieces and then the bust pieces, but now I needed to figure out how to put the top together. And before I do something like that, I always like to test how I think it should go. So I pin everything where I think it should go and then test it with the pins because I just hate unpicking. So that's what I did here is I lined up the bust pieces. So the right sides were facing each other, and then I turned one of them right side in so you can see how it's seamless. There's no wrong side showing on the outside or the inside, and then the bust pieces would be sewn in between the 2 front pieces since it's double lined. So here I've pinned the bust pieces in between those 2 front pieces, so it should look like this. This is like a better visual, and I've already gathered them and I'm ready to sew. So you can see here where I've pinned, that is where I'm going to overlock, and I'm just gonna do 1 stitch all the way around. So this year in my sewing journey, I'm really trying to improve the construction of the things that I make, and so I have this skirt here that I used as a guide for both both the skirts that I'm going to make and the top. And you can see there's that twin stitch on the outside, but on the inside, you see this orange elastic that's sewn into the overlock stitch. So I'm just trying to figure out how they did this. And so I'm just playing around with the skirt. And I found that this elastic held the skirt better on my body. It just prevented it from moving around, sliding down, stretching out, because that's just things that happen with your clothes as you wear them throughout the day. And this clear elastic that you see on the left-hand side is the Dritz 3/8 of an inch lightweight clear elastic, and it's mostly used for swimsuits, undergarments, lingerie. And I'm really glad that I noticed this detail because I almost missed it. So I decided to add that elastic under the bust piece of the top as well. I was thinking that I would feel more supported and the top maybe wouldn't move around or shift around on my body, but here I am trying to overlock while stretching out that clear elastic, and I ended up having to cut the elastic in half because the 3/8 of an inch was too wide for the overlock stitch. But this part was really stressful because I was very paranoid that I was going to sew over extra fabric and like make a hole in my top, and I pin my clothes like crazy because I don't want anything to move. So I was going really slow here, and it doesn't look like much, but there was a lot going on here. Like, it was quite a lot of things to think about at the same time. So this is the top basically done. I just haven't hemmed it yet, and it's not bad for a first draft. It looks pretty good. The style that I want is there. The look that I want is there. There's just a few changes that I made. So I think this top is a little bit too long, so next time I'm gonna shorten it. Also, the top that I used to make the main pieces ended up being too big. I don't know, so I went a little bit smaller the next time. The bust pieces I'm gonna make a little bit longer because I want more fabric on the back, but overall pretty good. So now that I have an idea of what I'm doing, how to put it together, that's the most important part, I could move on to my other fabrics. Okay, change of plan. So today is Saturday, and today I was gonna work on the teal and the silver, but I have a friend's birthday party and I was looking at the invitation and there's a dress code. There's a color theme, and I don't know how I overlooked that. Also, I just want to show you quickly, I got my nails done yesterday and I love them. They're so cute. I love that milky, like light pink, white color, and then the little jewels. They're so cute. Let's get started on my outfit. So I was on a crunch trying to sew this outfit. There was no time for overthinking, so I folded my red fabric in half and then placed that black skirt on the fold and used it as a guide. And I wanted my skirt to be much wider at the bottom so I could have more movement. And I used this tutorial that I mentioned in my last video as a guide. So here's how that first skirt piece is looking. I was really excited to see how it came out. I'm just trying it on to see if I like the length, the movement. I decided it was a little too long, so I wanted to cut it a little more asymmetrical. So I laid that piece back on the ground and then just measured the shortest part of the skirt, and I measured 8 inches or 9 inches from the waistline, and then I just placed that measuring tape across the skirt and used it as a guide to help me cut a straight line. So here's how that skirt piece looks, and at first I thought, hey, like this looks pretty good. This is definitely what I'm going for, but I started to notice that a lot of the movement went away from the skirt, and I wasn't sure if it was because I cut the pattern piece straight on instead of on the bias. Since I had a lot of extra fabric, I think I had around 4.5 yards, I decided to recut that pattern piece on the bias, and cutting on the bias always confuses me, and this was my first time cutting on the bias with stretch fabric, so I was like really overthinking it, but I think I got much better results. And then I needed to measure my waistband piece. I wanted to make mine a little bit wider than this. This one was about 6 inches. I wanted mine to have more fabric to gather. I tried to cut as fast as I could. That took up a lot of my time, and then I ate lunch because I was starving. So let me show you all of my pieces. So this is the skirt part, and both the pieces are together, so it may appear a little bit thicker, but it just looks so nice. I'm glad that I caught the drape of the other one. And then the fold over piece, I just made 16 by 16. I would fold it in half like this. And then for the top, I decided to use a different top to trace. So this is an Aritzia contour top that's like really fitted because I ended up having to take in too much of that white top, and I don't think I cut it right. I don't know, something was off. So I traced this one, and then this is already a halter and has a back piece, so I just traced it. But then for my straps, I actually made them much longer than the other one. I just wanted to go for it and make them super long. So kind of be like this, but they're not going to be that long because I'll have a knot or tie a bow or something, so it won't be that long. So I have like an hour and something to finish this, which I think I can. So we'll just see how it goes. So it's the next day, and I had to sew so fast. I was sewing like the wind, and I was thinking like, oh, I could make cute little TikTok transitions and film my after. No, there was no time for that. But this is how my outfit turned out. Looks really cute. I technically didn't even finish it. I didn't hem my top, like the bottom of the top. I didn't hem it, but you can't really tell. But you see the asymmetry of the skirt and then my super wide thick waistband. So then I thought, hey, this isn't a bad first draft for the entire outfit that I want to make. This last minute outfit ended up working out, and I'm just glad that I had the extra fabric to do this. There's been a change of plans regarding this silver knit fabric. I was attempting to copy this wrap top that I got from Zara and that I thought would be really simple. And I mean, it seems pretty easy, right? Just two pieces, a back piece. And I tried tracing it. I tried laying fabric over this and just kind of cutting around the top. I made so many mock-ups, this navy fabric, this white fabric. I don't know, there's no zipper, no darts or anything, and you would think that making this would be really easy, and it's just not. So this is gonna be on hold, my stretch fabric, because I really, really want a wrap top in that fabric. And I actually ordered this wrap top from Aritzia. I'm gonna go for it and probably take it apart to copy the pattern because I really want that top and I want it made well. And now we're gonna move on to my teal fabric and this blue fabric. And I'm gonna show you what my new plans are with these. I was going back and forth, like, what kind of top do I want to make? Do I want to make like a Seuss inspired top? Do I want to make the wrap top? Do I want to make tops like these, like with a bat wing? Like, I was going back and forth and really going through my Pinterest board, like, what can I make? How much fabric do I have, right? I remembered that I bought this pattern from Shea the Label. I love her patterns. I actually did her keyhole top tutorial and it came out so cute. So I'm gonna make a top like that and then a midi skirt. I was looking at these skirts. I want to do something asymmetrical and kind of whimsy, not like straight cut like I did with the red skirt. I just feel like I want to keep experimenting. I want a skirt that has a lot of movement, you know? So then with the teal fabric, I was looking over how much material I have and I won't have enough to make a top and a midi skirt. So I'm going to go for an asymmetrical mini skirt, something like this. That's kind of like my inspo and what I'm going for. And then for the top, I went and got the pattern by Ellie Threads. It looks kind of like the Seuss inspired top, but instead of it tying on the back, it stops on the back. Now that I've made the red one, I'm like, oh, I don't want all of my tops to look like that because it is a lot of fabric. This is how much blue fabric I'm working with before I cut out the top pattern pieces. So the bust piece is cut twice mirrored and then the torso piece is cut twice on the fold. And this is how much fabric I have left over. That bigger rectangle piece will be the skirt and then that smaller rectangle will be the waistband piece. So to get more of that circle skirt shape, I followed this tutorial on TikTok and this shape and volume is what I was going for originally. I just didn't know how to achieve it at the time. So what I'm doing here is trying to play around with my fabric and it's supposed to be a perfect square. We want all sides to be even. It definitely was more confusing because I was working with a rectangle, so I kept throwing myself off because in the tutorial you're supposed to cut out your waist measurement in the middle of the fold, and I ended up making a really big mistake because in the tutorial you're supposed to take your waist measurement and divide it by 6.28, which is 2 pi, and my math was way off. I don't know what I did, but it turned out huge. So I was like freaking out on how I could save this because what is this? It literally looks like a top. And so I'm like, what just happened? How was my math so off? I'm gonna try it on and it's gonna be huge. It doesn't even go around my hips. Like, it's way too big. Then I'm freaking out like, oh my God, it's too short. You know, my butt's gonna be hanging out. What am I gonna do? Like, I am spiraling. And you know what else is, I put so much pressure on myself because I plan these videos. Like, I plan my YouTube video or my TikTok or my Instagram, a reel, and I'm planning like cute little transitions or whatever. And then when it doesn't work out, I'm like, I have nothing to show for anything. Like, I was really excited to show this. So I am determined to fix this. Like, I am going to show this project. I've already been filming for days, and so I'm going to figure it out. So then I thought that I could pin the sides, like the shortest part of it, and I'm just trying to see if that even looks good. But then I decided, like, no, that looks really weird. And then I thought, oh, I can shorten the hem a little bit, and I was like, no, this is bad. So then I was like, okay, scratch. You need to come up with a new way to fix this. So I saw some skirts on Pinterest that have this little like sash on the side, and so I gathered my skirt to give myself that little sash, and I'm just trying to see if the length is okay. I figured that it would be a little bit longer with the waistband piece, but I'm just doing a test to make sure that nothing will be exposed, no butt cheek that's gonna hang out. But so far I'm really, really liking the sash, and I'm pretty positive that I'm gonna go with it. I pinned that sash part down and then grabbed my waistband piece and just put it against the skirt just to give me an idea of how the finished skirt is gonna look. So I'm just trying it on. I'm checking the length to make sure it's not not too short, make sure that I really, really like it. But yeah, I decided that I love it. I love how it moves. It's so pretty. So I'm like, yes, I figured it out. So for the waistband piece, I wanted to add some ruching because I thought it would be a really nice detail. So I took the two ends you sewed together and then sewed elastic with it to give it that ruching effect. This is the clear elastic that I used. And you sew the elastic the same way you would sew it onto a pant. You would stretch out the elastic while you're sewing to get it together. So the tighter that you pull the elastic, the more ruching. I did use my overlock to sew this. Since I'm working with a stretch fabric, I didn't use a regular sewing machine at all. So I just placed that elastic on top of the fabric and sewed everything together with the overlock machine. Now I'm ready to overlock my skirt. So I'm just cutting some more elastic. This elastic was too wide. It was 3/8 of an inch. And I think the overlock stitch is like 1/8. So I'm just cutting directly in the middle because I'm going to add this elastic to my skirt piece as well. So before I add that elastic, I'm going to overlock the top of the skirt first just to hold everything in place, especially the super, super thick part right there. So I started a little off center. I wasn't going to start directly on the sash part where everything's gathered. So I'm just working my way around. And then when I finally reach that sash part, I think I overlocked over like 7 layers of fabric. So I'm literally pleading with my machine, like, please work, please work. I could not afford any mistakes. But luckily it went through. My overlock machine pulled through. I was like, yes, thank goodness. And so this is how the finished stitch looks. It looks so good. Here's a sneak peek of the blue skirt. I love it. So now I have a really good idea of how to make the teal skirt. So I'm just figuring out how much fabric I have. The LA threads pattern does use more fabric than the Share the Label pattern because it's double lined. So I had to cut 4 for the straps and then 4 for the main pieces. So this is how my fabric's looking with the straps cut out. And then once I cut out the main pieces, I just drew a line there where I cut and then just made like a really long rectangle again and just folded that like I did with the blue skirt. I followed the same tutorial as the blue skirt and cut this skirt the same way. So once I got my square shape, I cut out the waist piece, which ended up being too big for me, but it was on purpose this time. And I wanted to show how I gathered that skirt to give me that little sash. I kind of just winged it and I just placed the skirt on myself and then folded it inwards a bunch of times until I got it to look the way that I wanted. And then once I found something that I liked, I pinned it, just tried it on, twirled around to make sure I liked how the skirt laid. And then of course was pleating with my overlock machine to overlock over those like 7 layers of fabric perfectly, and it worked out. It looks so pretty. So after I overlocked the top of the skirt, I could then pin the waistband. So this is how the waistband looks pinned onto the skirt. Then after I overlocked that, I could then sew the elastic, which I'm technically overlocking over what I overlocked with the elastic. And the reason I overlock it a second time technically is because I sewed over those like 7 layers of fabric. So I felt like it would have been way too tricky to sew one clean stitch over all those layers of fabrics and the elastic and everything be perfect. Sewing the top didn't take that long, probably because I used a pattern, but I was not going to spend the time trying to self-draft it. Like, are you kidding me? All that time I spent with the skirts? Heck no. And I know that there's a lot of tutorials out there for this style of top, but I was like, no, forget it. I'm just gonna buy the pattern. And the pattern is wonderful. It's so pretty, well made, good instructions. The top is double lined, so it feels really nice. It's so perfect. I already bought black fabric because I definitely need to make this in black, and I just really love how it turned out. One thing I did change from the pattern is the hem is finished with a twin needle, and I just don't really like how twin needle stitching looks, only really on a t-shirt. I don't know, it's probably my machine, but anyway, I was able to figure out how to make it seamless so there's no twin needle stitch at the bottom. Everything is seamless. Almost a week later, I finally finished everything. This is the teal outfit. I love how it turned out, and that skirt mistake I was freaking out about turned out to be a very, very happy accident. But I love the top. I know that there's a lot of self-drafting tutorials and this is like a very easy thing to make, but I just want to go with the pattern. It's easy. I know my size. I know it's gonna fit. There's directions. I don't have to figure anything out. All I have to do is sew, and so I'm glad that I bought it. One thing I noticed, I don't know if you can see it on camera, if you notice the skirt part, this looks a little lighter than the waistband and the top. So when I was figuring out all my stuff downstairs, maybe it was the lighting, I accidentally sewed my skirt wrong side out, but I don't think it looks bad. I don't know, it kind of gives it like dimension. I just wanted to point that out, that I noticed that later and I was like, I'm way too lazy to unpick this overlock stitch and do it again, like forget it. I was just talking for 2 whole minutes, not realizing that I wasn't recording. But this is the blue outfit. I love this one so much as well. I love the color. I think this blue is so pretty. And I also did the same thing I did to the teal skirt. I sewed it wrong side out. So I don't know if you can tell, but the top and the waistband look a lot shinier than the skirt part. But I think it looks cool. I think it looks a little interesting. If I try and like turn it the right way or the other way, the sash would be on the inside and it just doesn't look right. Like I was trying to make those little like sash pieces. I love how the skirt turned out. It's like a between mini and midi. It's a lot more asymmetrical than the other one because I was technically working with less fabric, but I'm really happy with these skirts. I love the top. This was my first time using the Shed the Label pattern. One thing I really want to do though, it's nothing with the top or the pattern. I just really want to figure out how to make it double lined because I'm just not a fan of finishing the hems like with a twin needle. I just don't really like the look, but it's probably my machine. And so if I make it double lined, I don't want to have double elastic around my bust because I imagine that would feel kind of tight. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to make this again. I definitely want to make this with t-shirts. Like I think getting really oversized t-shirts and turning it into a cute off the shoulder would look so cute. So now let me show you the red outfit because I technically made that first and I kind of made it in a bind. Like I really rushed to finish that project. And now that I've made the teal and the blue outfit, I don't like the red outfit as much as I did. There are a few things that I want to change, so let me show you. I was going for those Susmi's tops, and I don't know, it's fine. I didn't even hem it because I ran out of time. Obviously, I made the strap super long. I don't think I like that. I don't think I want to keep it. I think that I'm going to turn the top into this because I have enough fabric, and I'd probably wear it a lot better because it would fit me better. So yeah, I'm just going to have to take apart all that overlock stitching, but it's fine. I'm finishing the video wearing my teal outfit because it's my favorite. But do you see the movement of the skirt compared to the red one? Like what a difference. The red one was so flat. Like what a difference. I'm so happy with the skirts. I love them. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you made it this far, thank you even more. Please let me know if you learned anything in this vlog. I would love to know if I showed something that you hadn't seen before. Let me know if you're planning on sewing any outfits like this. Let me know if you've used or are planning on using any of the patterns that I mentioned. Also, tell me what you're working on. I would love to know what you're working on and what's on your summer make list. Thank you so much for being here, for subscribing, for supporting, for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.